names are Masaba Joseph and urologist. Intersex is a simple way of saying that a person's gender is in between sexes. It's a terminology which is being phased out currently. What you're referring to as intersex are what we call disorders of sexual differentiation. That's the terminology we use now. The terminology hermaphrodite is obsolete, meaning it no longer applies to females or males. Hermaphroditism literally means an organism has both male and female genital parts and it is sexually viable. So it's a terminology which has largely been left for plants. It's not used in mammals or humans. What you're calling hermaphroditism are basically disorders of sexual differentiation. Before I go to the causes, probably I will talk about the different types of disorders of sexual differentiation, and probably at each I will mention the different types. There are basically largely three main disorders of sexual differentiation. The first one is called congenital adrenal hyperplasia. And the cause of this is that the adrenal gland fails to produce androgens, which are vital in causing the genitalia to deficient. It's common among females, and basically it can vary from the mildest form to the most severe form. When it is mild, the female presents with a large clitoris, basically a condition called clitoromegaly. However, the remaining parts of the genital organs are normal. To its most severe form, one can fail to differentiate whether the child is male or female, and we refer to this condition as ambiguous genitalia. The second most common condition is something we call androgen insufficient syndrome, AIS. Androgen insufficiency syndrome affects mostly males. So genotypically the child is born a male. However, their body fails to respond to the hormones that lead to male differentiation. So it can be partial or complete. When it's complete, the child is genotypically male. He carries the chromosomes XY. However, because his genitalia have not been exposed to the male hormone, he is born with a feminine appearance. So meaning he will have breasts, you have a poorly developed penis, you have a poorly developed scrotum. Many of these tend to grow up as they look at themselves as being girls or females until they reach the age of puberty, when they fail to menstruate. That's when they begin having concerns as to why they're not being complete females. Androgen insufficiency syndrome can be complete or partial. When it's partial, the boy he can have any of the features which are feminine. For example, a microphallus, or you can even have a vaginal stenosis, or you can have a very poorly developed scrotum. The third most common condition is something we call 5-alpha reductase deficiency. Meaning, this is a person who is born as a male but lacks the enzyme which enables the male hormone to be activated. And basically, they grow up as appearing as females. They have a female body. However, at puberty, other sources of androgens begin getting manufactured. For example, from the adrenal gland. So they grow up with a female body, however at puberty they begin getting masculinized. There are other forms of course of what we call intersex. Things like clitoromegaly. It can be a milder form of congenital adrenal hyperplasia. However, you can have a normal female who just has a very big large clitoris, and that is something we call clitoromegaly. Boys are born with the external urethral meatus at the tip of the penis. When you have a condition called a hypospadias, that external urethral meatus can appear anywhere along the ventral aspect of the penis. It can be at its mildest form, where you have the meatus appearing at the glans penis or at the corona, to its most severe form, where the meatus is down within the perineum. When it's that severe, the child tends to be raised as a girl, but when they are genetic boys. The others are really very rare, so we not usually go to discuss the details of the other symptoms, but those 4 or 5 are the most common. As I said, the ones who are identified as girls are either those with ambiguous genitalia, meaning they have congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and it's at its most severe form. So because you have the clitoris which has not developed fully, and you've got a scrotum which has not developed fully, they appear as females. But if you do genetic studies, you identify chromosomes which identify them as males. Yes, when we assign sex can be assigned genetically using genes, genotypic sex, meaning you're either having the chromosomes XX to be a girl or XY to be a boy. You have what called phenotypic sex, meaning your appearance, and then you have people who have sex assigned due to how I forget the right terminology. They call them the transgenders. They have a body of a female, but however, in their mind they perceive themselves to be males. Or they can be males and they perceive themselves to be females. The people who you're describing, as they have breasts, they have a female body shape, and are behaving as males. These are people who have grown up with one of the disorders of sexual differentiation. Is basically genetically male but has a female phenotype, meaning the outward appearance. So at puberty, when you have the male hormones now getting very active, their behaviors all turn out to be those of a male. It's congenital. There are genetic mutations which occur within either the hormones which are responsible for causing sexual differentiation, or a defect within the adrenal gland, or probably the body just doesn't respond to hormones. So largely it's a congenital thing. You're just born with those conditions. You don't develop them after. Most of them are seen at birth, especially the very severe forms, like the severe form of congenital adrenal hyperplasia. When a child is born, immediately the mother is told whether she has delivered a baby boy or a baby girl. However, there are those children you can't differentiate between whether they are male or female. You could get a child who is born with a penis which is curved that way, a condition we call hypospadias. You can easily identify many of these defects at birth. This is what I'm trying to say. There are children who are born with what we call partial androgen insensitivity syndrome, where they are genotypically male. However, because the scrotum do not receive sufficient levels of testosterone to cause it to form nicely, it ends up developing as if they are appearing like labia. So we call it a bifid scrotum. It is separated, and when you look at it, the child appears as if they are a girl. So many of these conditions can be identified at birth, immediately after birth. Some of them, if identified early, for example, if you're doing a routine ultrasound scan, when the child is still in the developmental stages, or if you're in a more advanced setting and you've identified the gene which can cause that condition, many of these conditions can be corrected by giving hormonal supplements. The hormonal supplements aid the organs, the genital organs, to differentiate fluid, either male or female. When children are born with already these conditions, and they come to us, probably maybe in the first week of life, or probably maybe a month later, or 6 months later, some of these conditions can be corrected surgically. So you can have a child who is born with clitoromegaly, a very big clitoris, but has a normal vagina, everything else has developed normally, normal uterus. We can correct that by reducing the size of the clitoris. Or if you have children who are born with ambiguous genitalia, what we usually do is we go ahead and do genetic studies to identify the sex of the child. And we go ahead and do operations to correct the appearance of the genitalia to either be a male or female. For example, if you've got a male child who's got a partially developed vagina with a very tiny penis, and probably the testicles never developed, you may not be able to correct him to give him a normal sized penis. So some of those can be very difficult to correct. And the other thing is that a few of these cases are born when they are infertile. So you may not, much as you may correct the outward appearance of the genitalia, you may not be able to give them fertility. So once they are infertile, you cannot correct that. Well, I don't have statistics offhand to give you figures of how rare the condition is. However, what we do know is that the most mild form of intersex, one of the conditions we call hypospadias, it's a fairly rare, it's the most common congenital pneumatic part in children. And we're correcting those on a regular basis here at the hospital. The most severe forms, the ones we call ambiguous genitalia, they tend to be fairly rare. However, when they do come, we do correct them as well. We do have what we call an annual pediatric surgical camp. We prioritize children during that time, and in the last camp that we did, we operated on about 74 children for different conditions. However, the majority of those had these conditions that I've just talked about. The commonest was hypospadias. So I don't have figures offhand to tell you how frequently the children are coming. However, it's a fairly common condition.